Hi, you are joining this webinar because maybe you want to help somebody to boost their leadership, or maybe yourself. I hope by the end of this program or this session, you will find out that we all need to improve our leadership. I hope you find this amazing and you have information of value out of this program. So the first question is that we ask ourselves is, what is a leader? And I've been studying this concept of leader and leadership for maybe a decade now, over 10 years. And that's the first question that everybody asks. And there are, thousands of description or definitions of what a leader is. There are thousands of definitions of what a leader really is. So I'm going to share with you a couple of them that I find interesting. One of them is from John Maxwell, who is the guru of leadership. He has over 100 books written, many of them which are in leadership. And he defines a leader as the person who knows the way, who goes the way, and then shows the way. I find this very interesting because it's not only about becoming or knowing something, it's also about teaching other people, it's also about your legacy and help other people to rise to your level. Then there is this other definition that says leaders don't create followers, they create leaders. Simon Sinek also uses this definition. I love his work and his philosophy. And, it's not as the same as the first one. It's not only about, getting your results. It's about helping people to get the results and to create more leaders. But what I use, and this is the definition that I use in my programs, and it helps me to get the most out of the program, is this definition from Stuart Friedman, who was a leadership development director in Ford for more than 3 decades. And he says that the leader, in its most important sense, means being the agent of your own life, influencing the things that you care about most to make it a richer life. It complements the other two definitions, but what I like most about this definition is it's up to you. It's up to what you want, what you think would make it a richer life. And the other thing is not only about work, it's not only about job. So I have embraced this definition, and that's what this definition drives most of my leadership programs. So where do we start? What are your steps? What are the steps that we recommend, or I recommend, to become a better leader, to boost your leadership? It's about, I say, it's the 5 no's. First, you have to know your aspirations. What are you aspiring? Where do you want to take your life? Where do you see yourself in 10, 20, maybe 30 years? What is your rocking chair philosophy? The rocking chair philosophy is that you look at yourself when you are, very old in your rocking chair, and you're thinking, what is it that I did that makes my life worth living? So what are your aspirations? We're going to talk about this a lot. Then you need to know your stakeholders' expectation. And, I have heard or read a lot in the media that, you don't have to live to other people's expectation. That's not right. Everybody expects something from you, and you expect something from everybody that you work with. So, it's pretty naive to think that you don't have to live to other people's expectation, or at least know them, right? Then you have to know yourself, know where your strengths are, where you need some help, and just know how great of a leader you are. Then know how to change. It's not only know, but to make a plan what you need to change. And finally, let everybody know. Because the hardest part of transforming yourself is that you've worked so hard to make an impression, or for somebody to accept you for who you are, that maybe doing something different, it doesn't sound like you, and maybe it would sound like hypocrisy. So, letting everybody know that you're going to make an effort to change is very important to make this transformation happen. So let's talk about knowing your aspirations. And the thing with aspirations are not goals, and aspirations come from the heart. So what happens when you talk about or you think about your aspirations is that as they come from your heart and they get you to your mind, they make a change in how your brain works. So it's very important to go deep on your aspirations. I always tell my clients or my coaches, you need to write 100 aspirations. If you only have 5 or 6 aspirations, you're not doing the work. Your brain is not changing. So you have to work for the 100 aspirations. There is a coach, I don't know if you have heard of her. She's Mel Robbins. She talks about the 5 seconds rule. The thing is, when you have an aspiration or something that you want to achieve that is very difficult, if you don't do anything with that in 5 seconds, your brain is going to tell you why that's a bad idea, because your brain is designed to save energy. And if that aspiration is going to take energy from you, your brain is going to say, no, I'm not going to do that. So that's why it is important to identify your aspiration, that they are not goals and that they come from their hearts. Some of your aspirations, maybe you're never going to get them. But if you don't have them, you don't have a roadmap. You don't know where you want to go. So it's better that you have them and not get them and get there. It's like in school, you say if you study for an A, if you study for a C, maybe you'll get an F. But if you study for an A and you get a B, that's all right. It's better than an F. And then it's important that you keep your aspirations, renew your aspirations. So when you accomplish your aspiration, you have the opportunity to find new aspirations and make the best out of them. So first, you have to know where you want to go. But what I would like to work, and that's why the definition from Stuart Friedman makes a match with what I think, is that your aspirations are not only on your job. So I work with aspirations in the 4 human domains: the spiritual, the self, family, and professional. And if we get to work together and I have the opportunity to explain to you or talk about the 4 domains deeply, I hope we have the chance. But at this moment, I'm just going to talk to you about a couple of things that each one of these domains helps you to become a good leader. Because people ask me, what does it have to do if you're spiritual? How does that impact your leadership, or how does your family impact your leadership? Well, I'm going to share with you 2 points that are very important in the spiritual. And the one that I like the most is that when you see the people as the end instead of a means, the person that is working for you, that's the end, to make that person a better person. That needs a spiritual development. You can't find out just because I'm saying so. You need to get in touch with them, get in touch with God, get in touch with everything that connects to us, and feel connected to that person. And then you can aspire and focus on how to make that a better person. So maybe the next time the person messes up and maybe doesn't reach their goals, you don't say just, you're not helping my goals. You're just a means to my goals. You yourself, I'm worried about yourself. And, what is it that I need to do to help you to achieve those goals? If you reach that spiritually, absolutely, you're going to be a better leader. The second reason is you commit to a long-term vision. We as emotional beings, we are very attracted to short-term goals. And we constantly, and I can say that about myself as well, we constantly give up our long-term vision to have a very close gratification. So again, you can get this vision or commitment to your long-term vision once you have a spiritual development. When you talk about yourself, what is it about yourself that's going to make you a better leader? Again, is you need, what's the knowledge that you need to make it in all 4 domains? What do you need to know to be a better leader? And also your fitness. How is your health? I'm going to make a pause here just to make a reference to how a leader makes a decision. What happens in his body? And when the leader is under stress and he has to make a very important decision, your heart rate or his heart rate rises, and it goes to levels such as the same levels as when you are running a marathon or you're making a sprint. So your heart is pumping 120 to 140 beats per minute. And if you don't have the health to support that, as a leader, you're going to have a heart attack. And, as a leader with a heart attack, you're not getting anywhere. Then professionally, family, what does family give you? It gives you motivation and support. And so we work for our family, but also when something is not working, our family also supports us. And it gives us a sense of belonging. And, when you say that the people in your company is your second family, is because that sense of belonging that you learn in your family, you can transfer it to the company. But if you don't have the family values and you don't have the family, even if you have a lot of support in your company and in your co-workers, that sense of belonging is never going to be fulfilled. So it is important also that you grow in your family and you plan your family. And as I said, in the spiritual, you have a vision of where you want to take your family, right? And finally, when we talk about the professional, it's not only about making a living, but it is also important. But it is most important that you understand that you are adding value, right? Making a living is not enough. You have to add value. And if you focus your leadership to add value, making a living is inevitable. You add so much value that people are willing to pay for that value. So professionally, you can make a living. But again, you need the spiritual strength, you need your knowledge and your fitness, you need the motivation and support from your family to make it as a leader professionally. So when I talk about when you write your 100 aspirations, think about what are your aspirations in these 4 human domains. Okay. The second step is to know your stakeholders' expectation. And as I said earlier, I have heard so much about, you don't have to live to other people's expectation, and it is very difficult. I know you have expectations of your stakeholders, and your stakeholders have some expectation of yourself. So what do you have to do? Well, first you have to understand who your stakeholders are. I mean, you don't have to live up to everybody's expectations, but you have your stakeholders. You have your stakeholders in your family. Maybe it's your parents, maybe it's your wife, maybe, or your husband or your spouse, maybe it's your children. What are they expecting from you? And you might find that what your efforts are into the expectations that you think they have, many times they're mistaken. So you have to select them and have a dialogue. Listen to what they expect from you and share what you expect from them. I just had a couple of meetings with some joint ventures that I'm doing, and that's the question: is what do you expect from me? Well, I expect this and that. And what do you expect from me? Well, when we know what to expect from each other, we can deliver. If you don't even know what your stakeholder expects from you, you're not going to be able to deliver. And then you have to agree on a plan. So, okay, I understand that you expect this from me. Maybe I'm not ready for that, or maybe I am. Or how can we make a plan so I can move to that, to complete and fulfill those expectations? And in both ways, what can you do as well to fulfill my expectations? But I'm going to tell you the truth. It's easier and it's better that you work on fulfilling their expectations, because that's where you have control. You can't control what the other person or what your stakeholder is going to do. But once you start working towards those expectations, absolutely the other person changes, and he or she will also change their ways to fulfill your expectations. And make sure that the impact in this change is on all 4 domains. So for instance, maybe you have a spiritual goal, and you go every Sunday to church or to mass or whatever religion that you profess, and you want to grow also your link to your spouse or your children. So take them, invite them to your spiritual sessions, and you can all grow together. Also, and one that is very important, is that if you're a spiritual leader, you understand also that your work is where your spirit can glow, right? So you make your work your space to grow as well spiritually. So it's important for your stakeholders to understand that you want to grow spiritually with them as well. And once you understand what they expect, Stuart Friedman defines this as the leadership leap, to understand the other person's point of view. If you don't know what the other person is expecting, it's very difficult to help them or to deliver what they expect. Okay, very good. The third step is to know yourself, and this is where the coaching or mentoring comes in. You need a mentor to know yourself. It is very difficult. You have so many biases on yourself that don't allow you to see both your potential and also your limits. I have mentored so many people that have this huge value, and they don't see it in themselves, and they keep telling me, why is it that these other people see that potential in myself and I can't see it? Well, that's why you need a mentor, to help you see where your value is, how you can be a better person, a better leader. But also we need objective tools, because myself as a mentor, also I have my own biases, I have my own, my own filters. So we need objective tools to um, to to understand where your leadership is. And what I use in my programs is these tools: EQI 2.0. I'm a certified coach, and also I am certified in everything this workplace. And these are two of the are included in the 11 assessments every executive should take according to Forbes. Both of them are there. EQI 2.0 is the number 2, and everything this is number 8. But I have looked at all the rest of them, and I find this combination to be a great one, and it has helped me a lot to help my leaders. So everything this helps you to understand what is it that you like, how do you like to work. Maybe you're in dominance or influence, conscientiousness or steadiness. Either one of these places, it's important that you understand where you are. I'm going to talk to you about an example in a while. But once you understand where you are, you can understand what the conflicts are with the people that are in your space and in the other 3 quadrants. I'm going to share with you how this relates also with the EQI. The EQI, what it gives you is 15 emotional competencies and components that are focused on leadership as well. So it's not just about expressing my emotions in emotional expression. Is how does your emotional expression help you to become a better leader? Great, Carlos. Thank you for coming. I'll see you later. I had a message from Carlos. Hamza, if you have any questions also, I'm in the chat. If you want to raise your hand, also you can make the questions, okay? So again, when we go to the EQI 2.0 model, what I'm talking about is not only if you express your emotions, it's how this emotional expression influences into your leadership style. How does the empathy influence in your leadership style? So for instance, let's take this example from Fernando. Fernando is a client of mine that it's very dominant. He is very focused on the goals. He has a lot of drive, but since he doesn't have any influence, he usually goes over people to attain his goals. So that's not necessarily bad, that's not necessarily good either. Just this is who he is. But when we combine this with his emotional intelligence quotient, we can find that he has very low emotional self-awareness, very low empathy, and almost no non-social responsibility. So you can be dominant, but as long as you also have empathy, and as long as you also have interest for other people in social responsibility, and as long as you know your self-awareness, or your emotions. So this Fernando, he doesn't have to stop being dominant, but he absolutely needs to take emotions into considerations. What he does here in this profile, I like this very much, this emotional quotient profile, is he leaves emotions out, right? He doesn't care about his emotions, and he doesn't care about other people's emotions. He doesn't solve problems, emotional problems, or problems from the emotional point of view, and he has no social responsibility. So, being dominant doesn't make him a bad leader, but not taking the emotions into consideration, that might make him a bad leader. So what we do with this is to help the person to understand how their leadership, how their emotions are affecting their leadership. And we are always going to compare with this purple line, which is the average of leaders, and the green line is what we would like to be the development of these components in effective leadership development. So, for instance, here Fernando, he has a couple of them: optimism and self-regard. His maybe emotional expression and assertiveness. Those components are very close to the effective leadership lines. But his leadership is not there yet. One important thing to say is that you don't need to have every component above the green line. It also depends on your job. If you're a collector, you are collecting money from debts, or a debts collector, if you have high empathy, you're not going to do your job right. You need to have low empathy. And so what we are going to do is we're going to understand this profile according to your aspirations, according to your stakeholders' expectations, and then we can figure out where you need to work, or you need to develop your leadership. Okay. There's also the red line here, is that when these components are way too developed. For instance, a person that has too much independence is a person that asks you or makes you some questions to help him to make the decisions, but at the end he decides whatever he wants. That makes it that's also not a good leadership. When you are too high on independence and you're making all the decisions regardless of what your team is telling you, they get tired and they stop sharing. They say, why do you ask me? You're going to do what you want to do anyway, right? So this is why this profile, this EQI 2.0 tool, is very strong. And when we put it together with everything DISC, we can understand exactly where you need to focus to transform your leadership. I'm using these two tools because that's where I am also certified, but there are so many tools in the market that you can use to understand where you are as a leader and identify where you want to change. Okay. The next step is to know how to change. And again, this is very important that you have some assistance, a mentor or a coach, because it is very difficult for us. Myself as a coach, I've been working with this for over 10 years now, but I can't coach myself. I need somebody to help and coach me. So what we do is we set what are the abilities that you want to develop. We are going to use maybe 2 or 3 of the components that you saw on the previous slide. We're going to talk first about the benefits. The benefits are motivators. It's what motivates you to change, to transform. If you don't see a benefit on transforming, you are not going to transform. Absolutely. So that's where we start. What is the motivation for your transformation? Then the actions. What are you going to do to transform yourself? And we are going to talk about maybe some things that you have to do every day. Maybe you have to wake up earlier. Maybe you have to do some meditation every day, or maybe you have to do it once or twice a week. There are some actions that you can do maybe once a month, like maybe reading you can set a goal to read maybe a book a month, or maybe a book every 3 months. Every leader is different. And then there are some actions that you only do once. For example, maybe you need some schooling or some studies, some certification, or you need a new career or an MBA, that you're only going to do it once. And then you need to know how you're going to follow up your success. And here it is important that you bring your stakeholders again, because you're not, it's going to be very difficult to do it alone. I know that some people can do it, but it is very difficult. So bring your stakeholders and ask them to help you to follow up. Then the next column is what support and resources do you need? Maybe for the MBA, maybe you need a couple $100,000, maybe. So where are you going to get that? How are you going to get that money for your study? And finally, the time frame. How long is it going to take for you to change this ability, or to develop this ability? And I haven't seen, or leadership transformation doesn't happen overnight. You have to work every day. So some abilities, they take at least 3 months, and some abilities can take up to a year, or maybe a year and a half. So this is how we build a plan, and this is going to help you to know how to change, how to transform yourself. And also, it is important that you focus 70% of the time on developing what you are doing great, or you're doing good. How can you do it even better? It's not about correcting everything. Maybe 30% correcting, as we go back to, I'm going to go back to the profile, this Fernando, he's not going to be able to focus on emotional self-awareness and empathy and social responsibility and problem solving. If we want to make a plan with that, he's going to fail, because that's his weaknesses. We're going to probably want to work with his maybe interpersonal relationships. If he can grow this, absolutely he can grow empathy and social responsibility. Maybe we're going to work with a flexibility, and that's going to help him to improve his impulse control, right? So we're not going to work on the 15 competencies. We're going to work maybe 2 or 3, and we're not going to work only on the low ones. We're going to work maybe 1 of the low ones, and 2 or 3 of what we want to make to excellence, bring to excellence. Okay. And finally, you need to let everybody know. Again, you have to share, and share. That's the tip. You need to share with your stakeholders what you're going to change. And as you share it, a couple of things happen. First, the person that you're sharing it with is going to empathize with you. So, for instance, if you're working on your low impulse control, and you're saying, I need to improve my impulse control, the other person might say, I know what gets into your nerves, so I'm going to stop doing that, because if I keep doing it, I'm not helping you. So that's a benefit from sharing. And the second benefit is that you have to commit to that change. If you're telling the other person, I'm going to work on my low impulse control, and the next week you're also, yelling to everybody and screaming all around the office, that person can come to you and say, you said you were going to work on that, and you're not working that. So it makes you to commit to that change. And again, then the last benefit and the third benefit is that it opens your heart to change, because you have worked so much to build an impression of who you are, that making something different maybe it doesn't sound like you. So I wanted to keep this brief so you can understand. And I know you came in, Hamza. You logged in a little bit in the middle of the presentation. I'm gonna go back to the first slides so we can see the 5 steps. It's first you have to know your aspirations, then your stakeholders' expectation, know yourself, know how to change, and let everybody know. At this point, if you have any question, if you want to maybe share some of your thoughts, you can raise your hand and or you can just open your microphone on your video and we can talk. Hamza, Eva, I don't know if you have any questions. Very good. Here, there's a question. All clear. Thank you, Ava. Thank you, Hamza. Well, as you may see, these are the main pillars, the structure of my leadership program. This is what I work in my leadership program, and it is. I have 2 programs. One of them is a 10 weeks program where I go through all of this, from your aspirations to understand what your 4 domains are, how to get how to dialogue with your stakeholders and get the most information out of it. I help you with the assessments and the transformation plan. And of course, you have to do the 5th step by your own or by yourself. It's a 10-week program, and I have a 3-week program, which is mostly about knowing yourself with the assessments that you take to understand what your leadership is like. And when I started doing this, my program was only that we would only do your assessments and then make a quick plan to that. But I understood that and I wanted to give you more. So that's why I made this program much more complete with all the 5 steps, right? So if you don't have any questions, Hamza, maybe we'll talk later. Eva, también in English or in Spanish, whatever.
Thank you, Felipe. I think it's very clear. And yes, I would like to have probably later a meeting among us to see how we can probably make some alliances.
Sure.
Given your experience and what I do, there's probably something that we can, work together for our customers.
Absolutely. It will be nice to work with you again.
Yes. Thank you, Felipe. Nice seeing you.
Very good, Eva. Thank you. Muchas gracias por participar. Very well. Very good. Thank you. Then, Hamza, thank you also for joining us. And it's been nice talking to you. And Hamza also we'll meet and talk about it a couple of maybe next week or in the middle of the week. I'm going to reach out. Have a wonderful evening, you too. Bye-bye.